All right, let's dive into a story that kicks off with a really simple but totally chilling idea. What happens when you are no longer the only you? I want you to just imagine this for a second. It's late, you've had a long day, you're finally back at your place, ready to just crash. But when you walk in, you see something that's, well, it's impossible. Someone is already there, on your couch. And that someone is you. So in that moment, what do? According to the story we're about to get into, there's only one thing you really need to understand. Yeah, chilling, right? This terrifying idea is the very beginning of our story tonight, a story all about borrowed faces and stolen identities. So, our story begins properly late one night with a guy named Raghav. He's coming home to a place that, as it turns out, is no longer just his. And get this, the time is super specific, 12:48 in the morning. You know, that weird dead time of night. The rain's just stopped, so everything is slick and quiet. And right away, here's the first red flag. It's that tiny detail that just feels wrong. Raghav is positive he locked up when he left, so how could the door possibly be unlocked from the inside? And then, inside, he sees it. Look at this comparison here. It's him. I mean, it's a perfect copy, right down to the little things. The same tired face, the same slightly uneven beard, even the same old watch. But check out that last detail. That's the real kicker. While Raghav is, understandably terrified, the other guy, his eyes are full of relief.
So, when Raghav finally gets the words out to ask who this person is, the answer he gets isn't a threat. It's not a joke. It's this bone-chillingly calm statement that just completely shatters reality.
Okay, so this brings us to the next part, the infection of faces. Because what starts as this incredibly personal horror is about to become something, well, something contagious. So what does Raghav do? He runs. I mean, wouldn't you? He bolts straight to his friends. One of them, Neil, is a psychology student, and he immediately tries to find a logical reason. He says, look, it's a textbook doppelganger delusion. You're stressed, you're hallucinating. Simple. But his other friend, Samira, she's an artist. She doesn't think in terms of psychology, she thinks in symbols. And she asks this one quiet question that just cuts through all the noise, a question about mirrors. That one question is so weirdly specific that it spooks them all into going back to Raghav's apartment. The doppelganger is gone, but there's a dripping sound from the bathroom. Neil, the logical one, goes to check it out. He steps up to the mirror. And the face looking back at him isn't his. It's Raghav's. This is no illusion. This isn't a trick of the light. As Neil realizes in that moment, it's a replacement. And this is where things turn from deeply unsettling to genuinely deadly. The very next day, Neil is found dead, and his face, it's just gone, unrecognizable. But Raghav knows. It wasn't destroyed, it was taken. So Raghav's double actually comes back. But this time, it's not just to sit on his couch. It's here to explain the rules, to explain how this whole nightmare actually works. And it turns out this isn't random chaos at all. There's a process, a terrifying logic. First, someone dies abruptly, but their face, their identity, who they were to the world, it lingers. This empty face then has to find a new host. And how does it get inside a new person? Well, that's the last step, guilt. Guilt is the key that unlocks the door. And this is the part that must be just absolutely soul-crushing for Raghav. He wasn't just some random victim. His own guilt, whatever it was about, made him vulnerable. He was the entry point. He was the one who left the door wide open for this infection to get in and start spreading to his friends. Now that he knows this horrifying truth, Raghav realizes he can't just fight the entity. He has to shut the gateway. And the gateway, well, it's himself. So in one last standoff in front of that mirror, Raghav faces his double. But this time is different. He isn't a victim anymore. As the entity begins to speak, he cuts it off, seizing control of the moment, and says, "No, now it's mine." And then he smashes the mirror, one loud, violent crack. And with the sound of breaking glass, everything just goes silent. The aftermath is a complete mystery. The police show up the next morning to find an empty apartment. No signs of a struggle, no body, no double, nothing but broken glass. Raghav himself has completely vanished. So this brings us to the haunting final question, doesn't it? What's the real takeaway here? Raghav might have closed his gateway, but the infection was already out there. So what about Neil's face? What happens to an identity that's been stolen but never given back? And that, right there, is the thought that's going to stick with you. The idea that somewhere out there, in reflections, in the corner of your eye, there are empty faces still waiting. Faces that were borrowed, but never returned.